What's up, everyone? You are tuned in to the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode number 736. We just heard two tracks, one from Chip and the Charge Ups, Paying Back the Devil, and We Came from Space, and that track was Sometimes Nothing. We're coming at you from musicfromthe412.com, buildascene.com, megarockradio.net, and 107.1 KFGD, St. Louis, Missouri, Rootaroo Radio. It's rootaroo.com. And xrpradio.co.uk. And those are all over the place. We're in Scotland, we're in Texas, we're in California, we're in Pennsylvania. Take your pick. Anyway, episode 736. Lots of new toys again this week. I mentioned some last week, so bear with me as we work through this. And with me tonight, my guest is Maleena. What's up, Maleena?
Hey, Bill.
So you have some interesting stuff going on, but I told you ahead of time that I'm going to ask you a couple of wrestling questions, and we're going to start there. So recently, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley kind of did a babyface turn. What are your thoughts on that?
So I haven't had much time to keep up with a lot of the wrestling since I've been in college again. But no matter if she's a babyface or a heel, I'm a Rhea Ripley supporter all the time.
And the other question, another group or faction, the Bloodline kind of picking them out, or Bloodline. Yeah, Bloodline. Wrong one. I did want to talk about the Bloodline, but I'm doing the wrong. Anyway, so the Bloodline, Roman Reigns has come back, and the Solace version of it is basically taking Roman out. How do you think that's going to play out?
I don't know how I think it's going to play out, but I do think that there has been a lot of change, especially since Triple H has taken over and seeing Roman kind of fall from the throne. So I do think that that is opening up a new era for WWE and for wrestling. Um, and I think we're going to see a lot of new and interesting things that might have not happened during the McMahon era.
And then the last question, are you aware that they're going to be switching to Netflix for Raw?
Yes, I did hear that. I'm gonna have to get a Netflix subscription, I guess.
I think we're going to head back towards what was going on in the Attitude Era, and I think that's where that's headed. But anyway, for those of you that aren't into wrestling, sorry. I have something I need to turn on, so bear with me for just a moment. I apologize. There it is. Let me get Maleena back up on the screen. Sorry about that. So this Friday, if I recall correctly, is your album release party for the love of everything beautiful.
It is actually Saturday.
Saturday. Okay.
Saturday, August 31st.
Do you want to throw the details out just on the party itself?
Yeah, of course. So Saturday, August 31st, I'm having an album release show for my new album. It is going to be at Bottle Rocket Social Hall, which is in the Allentown section of Pittsburgh. And the doors are at 6, and the show starts at 7. We've got Brad Yoder, Amy and Caitlin Bliss of Anxiety at Best opening up.
Is Caitlin playing acoustic for that?
Yes.
I have never seen her do that. And before we get into too much of that, because we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the second segment, after we've listened to two of your tracks off of the new album. Maleena's been on a few times as herself and with Chip and the Charge Ups, so some of these questions might double up. if you ooh, if you could somehow become in control of how the music business works, what is the first thing you would change?
The first thing that I would change would be the way that getting to the top is to be less creative. One of the things that I've really noticed, once a band gets signed, suddenly there's 9, 10 songwriters on their song, and the song is kind of watered down. Whereas when they're on their first albums, before they're signed or when they're on a smaller label, it's just them and, either their band or the one songwriter, and it's real art rather than a product that a team comes to create. And for me and for my band, we like to, do a lot of songwriting ourselves. So if I could change anything, it would just be that there was more openness to originality and creativity in the world of like popular music.
Um, what this is a weird question, but Friday I was at Jurgles and Donnie Iris walked behind me. And that like I didn't say hello or anything, but he was there. And I was like, okay, I've brushed greatness. And recently I've hung out with Norm Nardini as well. Um, who are some people in the Pittsburgh scene that you've been excited to meet?
Well, I think that the most exciting person that I have met and I have studied with and I have even worked for is Liz Berlin. I originally met her in 2019. She hosts a summer camp for kids and teenagers called Real Life Music Camp. And, young aspiring songwriters can go to her and, she'll help you figure out how to write a song, how to record it, how to perform it, and how to put all of this together. And having that experience with Liz was really awesome, and then I even ended up working for her for about a year at Mr. Small's, in 2023.
I actually met Liz too, and I was super excited. And it was completely accidental, just like not meeting Donnie. I was um, I was at Mr. Small's for Millville Music Festival, and it got really, really crowded. We were upstairs, and the bearded Irishmen were playing on that little stage, and it was people were touching shoulder to shoulders and front to back, and it actually got foggy, and I couldn't breathe, so I stepped into the green room, and she was in the green room, and
Yeah,
very, very nice.
she's a wonderful woman, and her venue is so welcoming to local music, and I really appreciate that about her and what she does.
So we're gonna take our first break, and then we're gonna get into your new album on the second segment. Hey, so this is normally where I give away 2 tickets to a Dressy Entertainment show, but I don't have any tickets to give away tonight. So we're going to talk about next week's show, which is the Bullet Boys at the Craft House. That show is Thursday. The actual show is Thursday, September 12th. I'm giving away 2 tickets for it. If you are not a winner, you can still go by purchasing tickets. They're $20 to $22. It is a 21 and over event. Um, they do have preferred seating, which includes 8 tickets. That is limited, so you want to hop onto that quickly. And with that said, let me show you what else we have coming up. So we have that Bullet Boys show, Crack the Sky at the Oaks Theater, September 14th. April Wine and the Borstal Boys at Jurgles on September 29th. Richie Kotzen with Black Ridge and Super Monkey on October 7th. October 12th, we have Mushroom Head with Upon a Burning Body. Plus, there is no Us, a Mind Decision at Preserving Underground. Trace Lads on October 18th at the Craft House. Nelson with the Xander Damos Band, Post Traumatic at Jurgles. And your chance for 2 tickets to see Yngwie Malmsteen live at the Oaks Theater on November 15th. So if you're not watching the video, you don't know that you have to go to musicfrom412.com/contests to win those tickets. And if you are watching the video, it's about to disappear on you, so make a mental note. Musicfrom412.com/contests. Hey, we're back, and we just listened to Not That Kind of Love Song and Red Flags by Maleena, who is my guest this evening. So Maleena, I'm going to let you pick. Which one of those songs would you like to talk about tonight? Okay. So you've done this before on the show, so you know I'm going to ask you to, it's an MTV moment. Give me a story about the song.
Written, it's a lot different than most of my other music. Not that most of my music sounds the same, but it's a lot more poppy, a lot more upbeat than a lot of my other music. And it's called Not That Kind of Love Song because I wanted to write a love song per se about how much I love music. And most of my songs are on acoustic guitar or, more lyrically driven, but I wanted to make something fun and something upbeat, something that made you feel like you wanted to dance. So I love the bass line that I wrote for this. I started with the bass line, um, and just listened to a lot of songs that inspired me to feel that way, that gave me that feeling of, like, I love music, this music is, like, in my soul, it's in my veins, it makes me wanna dance, and I tried to take little bits and pieces of everything that made me feel that way and put it into this song.
So I just noticed that your audio was muted in the OBS software, but hoping it wasn't muted for the whole first segment. Um,
Oh boy.
Yikes. Um, I don't see anybody messaging me telling me that they couldn't hear you, so I'm going to hope that means that we were good. um, if not, I got to check my buttons again. So, why don't you tell us about Red Flag too? We have time.
Yes, Red Flags is the first song that I started writing for this album. I started writing it, about 2 years ago, and it just started with the first line. I never saw the red flags, but I like the attention. And so obviously this song tells a story about, being in an unhealthy relationship or liking attention and overlooking things that should make you want to run away. Um, and so I wanted to make this one, like, a little bit edgier than the other songs on the album. Not that it's, the edgiest song I've ever written. I certainly have other more hard songs, but I wanted this to be, like, one of the more angrier ones, that I had written. Um, and yeah, it just basically tells that story of, wanting to be loved, but, not wanting to overlook warning signs.
And I'm going to throw one more at you. At the top of the show, we played Paying Back the Devil by Chip and the Charge Ups, which you happen to be the bass player in. Um, I'm not necessarily looking for you to tell me about the song, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Um, and it's completely different sound than what you're doing on your own stuff. And actually, if I'm being honest, the song to song for Chip and the Charge Ups are almost completely different sounds.
Yeah, that's one thing that I love to do is just change up the style of music that I play. I enjoy any kind of music. So if you some people are amazed when, they listen to my playlist and it goes from, like, heavy metal to classical to Disney music to rap and everything in between. So, Chip and the Charge Ups that's my outlet for more heavier music and pop punk music, and my own solo project is a lot more mellow and, more lyrically driven, I would say.
Um, Have you ever thought about opening for your own band?
I have actually. There was a music festival in Coriopolis in 2022, summer of 2022. Probably actually almost exactly 2 years ago. I think it was like mid to late August in 2022. Um, and they asked us to pick all 3 acts. And so I opened, Chip and the Charge Ups played 2nd, and Atlas played 3rd, and Chip and the Charge Ups drummer, Nolan, played drums for all 3 of those sets.
So how long did he play overall? Like how much
3
each time?
hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to remember to ask you that question, but I'm not gonna ask it now because it's a longer one. Um, if you see, I still have to ask the Dave Grohl question, even though you've answered it multiple times because it's the official question. So you can pick somebody different, or you could give me the same answer. But who's your Dave Grohl? Who's someone you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their originals?
Ooh, perform one of their original songs. I am gonna say Hanson. I actually have a Hanson cover on my album that's coming out. I cover their song "Strong Enough to Break." They've been my favorite band since I was 9 years old, and, playing music that with them would be too much for my little fangirl brain to handle.
Um, so okay, I'm good. Um, this is your third album, and in the information that was sent on your EPK, it talked about a trilogy. So, how do the three albums link together?
So they are all different phases of my life. Um, and especially this album kind of tells the overarching story from beginning to end. And I'd say the song on my new album that best describes the trilogy is "Growing Up." "Growing Up" title pretty self-explanatory. But the first verse, I would say, goes along very well with my first album. The second verse goes along pretty well with my second album, and then the third verse kind of brings it all back together. So the first album is, you know, a little bit more sad, struggling with younger problems and growing up and whatnot. And then the second album is I made it when I was in college, when you're angry with the world. And then my third album is kind of a way to find small joys, and it's about celebrating the joy of music. And so that one song on that album ties all three of them together, with the first verse being about getting older means I don't feel the same like when I was young. Getting older means I don't play with toys and I don't have any fun. And the second verse starts out with uh, getting older means I have to hide myself in this adult disguise. I pretend what I know what I'm doing, um, and pretend I'm wise. And then the third verse, which kind of encapsulates the newest album, starts off with getting older means that I'm in control of my own outcome. Uh, Getting older means that it's not a dream, that it can be done. So that kind of explains the trilogy of the three.
Now, when you wrote the first album, did you have the plans of doing three to, or did it just end up that way?
It just kind of ended up that way. Whenever I started writing my first album, I started that project whenever I was 16 years old. And to even say I'm going to sit down and work on an album for 2 entire years, that was, like, beyond what I could envision at that time. But I knew that I wanted to make more music, but I did not know that it was going to kind of start this three-part, um, larger project than what it ended up becoming.
Um, we're gonna take our second break. We'll be back with Maleena momentarily. In the meantime, we're gonna hear track from the Noble Hops called Mo Spangled Banner. And we're going to hear from the Needs Hotel Band and their song Rock and Roll Annies. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to segment number 3 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode number 736, where I have Maleena joining me. Maleena, why don't you throw out the details about your concert, or your concert, but your release show that's coming up on Saturday.
Everything Beautiful. That is this Saturday, August 31st at Bottle Rocket Social Hall. That's in the Allentown part of Pittsburgh. The doors are at 6 o'clock. Show starts at 7. And we have Brad Yoder, Amy and Caitlin Bliss of Anxiety at Best opening up.
So I'm familiar with Brad Yoder, and I'm familiar with Anxiety at Best. Who is Amy?
Yeah, that's my friend Amy. I met her at Acoustic Cafe, which is the open mic at Mr. Small's Funhouse every Monday. I met her there. She's a very talented singer-songwriter and just all around a great person as well, very friendly. And when I asked her if she would be interested in playing with me, her immediate answer was yes.
Very cool. Do you do that? That's a weekly open, right?
Yes.
And do you go out there often?
Yeah, I have not had much time over the past 2 months, but I typically go as many times as my schedule allows me to.
Trying to think, I cannot think of his Hipchin, David Hipchin. I believe he goes to those. He kind of looks like Dave Grohl. He was in a band called completely blanked. It's been a few years, but he played in that band with Joey Connor, who is now the lead guitarist of Black Ridge. But anyway, so I asked you some wrestling questions. We have talked a little bit about your album. We talked a little bit about Chip and the Charge Ups. What do you have coming up other than the release party on Saturday? And you can tell us Chip and the Charge Up stuff. You can tell us Maleena stuff.
Yeah, I've got quite a few gigs coming up. I am playing next September 8th at a music festival in Mount Lebanon. I am blanking on the name of the festival right now, unfortunately, but I'm sure if you look it up, September 8th, Mount Lebanon Arts Festival, you'll be able to find information on that. On September 14th, the Charge Ups are returning to Johnstown, Pennsylvania to play a show there. And then on September 20th, I will be playing at Mr. Small's Cafe for their Acoustic Cafe singer-songwriter highlight series that they're doing.
So the thumbnail for this video was a picture of your purple hair flying from Acroshore. I had to use a picture that I took. What has been your favorite show that you've played?
Oh, absolutely, that show at Acrisure. that was for the rib fest. I don't even eat meat. I don't even eat ribs, but there was just so many people there. There was so much music. We got to open up for the Clarks, and they're really friendly, really awesome people. Um, just to be able to perform to a crowd that size and, hopefully share our music with a lot of people who had never heard of us before was really awesome experience.
I I was there in place of your mother who couldn't make it to take your photos like she normally does. I felt honored to be asked. But while you guys were backstage, I hung out with Chad Tyson from DVE and we were talking local music. It was great. Although we were killing a lot of lantern flies. um what's what one venue that you haven't gotten to play that you would love to play?
Ooh, that is a good question. Hmm. There's so many venues that I would love to say, but unfortunately they've closed down. The one that I always wanted to play at was Altar Bar, but they shut down. I mean, the main stage at Stage AE would be absolutely incredible to get to play on a stage of that size. I've played on a lot of the local stages that are still around. Like the fun house at Mr. Small's. It's one of our go-to spots, at least for the charge ups. Roboto Project, we've played there before. I would say Black Forge, but that's also gone now. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Stage AE. That's my next venue that I'm gonna play.
I the Beast of the Berg show. Rocky and I came. That was the first time I was at Stage AE. That was it was not what I was expecting, but it was still cool at the same time. Um, and that was the first time that Rocky and I heard Dream the Heavy, and they were amazing that night.
Oh yeah, they're so good.
And This is my chance to mention that they're playing September 7th at the Penn Brewery for Rock for Life. It's rockforlifeconcert.com. See how I did that? um, okay, so I said I was going to ask you a question earlier, but it was a little longer, so I was going to hold off. It's time for that question. So you are going to manage a band, and you can hand select its members from the local scene. Who you're going to put in the band, and if you could, mention what band they're currently in so people can check those bands out.
Ooh. Okay. This is gonna take some thought. Hmm. My first instinct for who I would choose to be in this band that I'm managing is gonna be Gibson from Poster Child. They actually just released an album last week, but Gibson is a really talented songwriter and a really great singer and guitar player as well. So I'm choosing him to be my singer and main songwriter. Um, Drummer, you gotta pick Matt Ferrante because he's in
Because he's in
everything.
everything.
You can't have a Pittsburgh local band without Matt in it. Um, hmm.
You're thinking, I just saw him play this weekend at the band jam with the Force the Boys. And he might have been in two of the bands I mentioned, the concerts that were giving tickets away.
All right, let's see here. Who else can I choose? Um, Man, I feel like I should have prepared for this one.
Well, so far you did a drummer, and I can't remember what the um did you say what the guy
Yeah,
from
he's a singer and a
yeah.
guitar player.
All right, so you have a drummer, a
Um,
singer, and a guitar player.
okay. Um, Another guitar player, you mentioned him before. We're gonna go with Joey Connor because great guitar player. He has a great guitar collection. I'm sure he will bring something great to the table. Now, the hardest part is gonna be picking a bassist because I would always want to pick myself. Let me think here. Hmm.
For, for those on the radio side, you can't see her, but you can see her face thinking.
Oh my gosh. Um,
Throw out a couple.
um, we were just talking about Dream the Heavy. Paul from Dream the Heavy is a great bassist. He's also an extremely friendly guy, so we'll go with him.
Hey, Maleena, we're at the end. If you could, have you ever watched Hot Ones?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how when they get to the end, he does this camera, that camera, and then he's like, "Tell us what you have going on." Well, you have 30 seconds to tell the listeners why they should come hang out with you on Saturday at your release.
Right, you should come hang out with me because you are gonna hear the greatest album of all time ever that has ever come out from myself. You're gonna get to hang out with some awesome people. We're gonna have Brad Yoder, Amy, and Caitlin Bliss of Anxiety at Best. We're gonna have awesome merch. I have brand new CDs. I have stickers. I have my old CDs and I have my old merch as well. And you are gonna just have a great time. Bottle Rocket is a really fun venue, a really fun place to be, and you get to see me.
Hey, Maleena. Those of you that are not watching the video, it's musicbymaleena.com. Maleena is how you spell Maleena. We are going to head off into the evening. I want to thank you for hanging out with me on episode 736, Maleena.
Thanks for having me.
And everybody that was watching us on Kick and Twitch, thank you for hanging out with us as well. And make sure you join us each and every Monday night for new live interviews.